everyone, welcome to the Trash Culture Podcast. This is episode 1. My name is Charlie Longman.
My name is Tamsin.
I'm from London.
I'm in Australia.
And Batman in cinema, who's played him, how they've been received, what we think of them, and let's just fucking get straight into it.
George Clooney, Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, and Adam West. So who do you think is the highest?
George Clooney, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, and Adam West.
Yeah.
Definitely Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, 100%. Yeah, he got 62% of the vote.
Yeah, from a guess, I reckon it went Michael Keaton, Adam West, Val Kilmer, George Clooney.
That's exactly how it went. Did you look?
Yeah. I didn't know. The only reason I say that is everyone always hates Clooney because everyone hates that movie. And to be fair, rightly fucking so. Val Kilmer is so underrated and unfairly hated. And Adam West is Adam West, man. He's a treasure. He is the colourful, the bright knight. Yeah, I was really fucking sad when he went.
I think George Clooney and Val Kilmer are on par.
Nah, it's a weird one because I can see why George Clooney was cast as Batman. Like he was
the
Bruce
hot
Wayne.
Guy of the moment.
Yeah,
and he plays that. If it came out tomorrow that George Clooney was the Batman, the real life Batman, you wouldn't be surprised.
No, not at all. Like he's a handsome dude. He has loads of money. I can imagine he probably has a dark side where he goes around beating people up at night just as a giant bat. But like the thing, you could talk about like the writing of that film, but like he just wasn't good at being both. For one, like he was just one character the whole film, and I think that's kind of what Val Kilmer did as well. But the other way around, his Bruce Wayne was so tediously boring and just so monotone. It was but like his Batman was very monotone and very sort of, I don't want to say one note because he weren't, but like it felt like he played Batman throughout that whole film and didn't play Batman and Bruce Wayne. And Michael Keaton was a little bit different because he was a comedy actor at the time. He had when he got cast, there was famously pre-internet petitions to have him removed because he was a comedy actor and everyone was like, he can't be Batman. I'd never expect that, I'd never suspect that he would be Batman. And it's kind of like, well, doesn't that make him a really good Batman then? To someone like Ben Affleck's credit or disdain, or whatever, you look at Ben Affleck in them films, he's very built, he's very big. And if someone was like, that guy's Batman, I'd be like, yeah, no shit, look at him. Whereas Michael Keaton, he's 5'8", or something ridiculous like that. He's very just unassuming, and I think that's what makes him the better Batman out of all of them.
I agree with that. I think, firstly, I very much hate Ben Affleck, so I don't agree with you there 100%. You know how there was that opinion how Michael Keaton wasn't going to be good, and there was those petitions, as you said. I also think the same thing's happening now with Robert Pattinson, for example.
Yeah.
People, and even me, first time I heard it, I was like, ooh, I don't know about that, how it goes, but time will tell, I suppose.
Every Batman in the cinema of my lifetime, I think maybe apart from Christian Bale, my first reaction has always been, oh God, no. I remember when Ben Affleck was announced and I was like, no, please don't do that. And he ended up being one of my favourite Batman ever. Way. That's fair. And Robert Pattinson, there are still people now online going, I'm not going to watch this fucking film because it's that fucking Twilight dude. I didn't have that reaction to it because I don't know.
He's done a lot of things since Twilight. That's not the only thing.
Because of how nicely surprised I was by Affleck, I wasn't like, oh no, but I was like, that's a weird choice. I've never seen Twilight, so I can't. I can't say. Wow, for me, he's that guy in one of the Harry Potter films. I watched The Lighthouse. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a black and white film with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe in it about two geezers on a lighthouse who basically go mad. And
that actually sounds
it's a meme goldmine. But like it's a fucking great film. And when I watched that, I was like, yeah, that guy could be Batman. Like, and then I think it was around that time where the first teaser trailer, I think it was just like a shot that panned up of his bat suit came out, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I get it. I think for me, the only thing for me is that he's very spry, but then I get that they also want to, they really want to separate this from the rest of the DC films, so they want to get away from beefy Ben Affleck and stuff like that. So I'm fucking excited for it. I think he's going to fucking smash it, and everything that I've seen like trailer wise, clip wise, looks great. And I didn't realize this until I was making the thumbnail last night, but there's already like a load of early screenings that have come out, and everyone's already saying it's like the most flawless Batman movie since The Dark Knight and stuff like that. So yeah, colour me excited, and fuck everyone who's not going to see it because Robert Pattinson was in fucking Twilight. Like,
well, for me, I'm excited because my last Batman was Christian Bale, and like nothing else has really existed for me in my world since then. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty exciting. Looking forward to a new Batman. And for me, like Christian Bale, who I thought was a great Batman, really plays that charismatic millionaire, billionaire role like down to a T. Whereas I think it will be quite refreshing to have Robert Pattinson, who, from what I can tell, is going to be playing more of like an awkward, eccentric kind of billionaire role, like a bit, you know what I mean? That Christian Bale is. So I think it'll be interesting to see that perspective of it, as opposed to this like charming man who can like walk into any room and no one thinks it's weird. I think it would be a little bit of a more interesting take to see this person who doesn't have those skills.
I don't know if it's just clickbait, but I've seen a lot of articles saying that apparently he based his Bruce Wayne off Kurt Cobain, which I think is a very good, which is fair as well, because like you really do like actually stop and think about the character in that. Like if I saw my mum and dad gunned down in front of me, I don't think any amount of money would ever get me to stop acting like a misery guts, you know what I mean?
He's basically stuck in his emo phase.
Yeah, well, like you know, he's like weighed down by grief and misery and damn fucking straight and all. He spends all of his time in a fucking cave. The one thing that no actor apart from, once again, I'm sorry to keep bringing up your favourite Batman, but the main problem I have rewatching any Batman film is that every time there's a new Batman, whether it's Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, there's this big thing for me where it's very easy to say that like Batman is the one superhero where Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. Like Batman is who he is. That's what he does. And being Bruce Wayne is just the occupational hazard that he has to do to be able to fund everything. And you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And nothing has ever really in a film. Actually, no, to be fair, Christian Bale probably did get quite close to that, because it definitely felt like he was putting on more of an act when he was.
Yeah, it was definitely
he definitely
more
felt
of an
like he was putting on more of an act. But then I remember I was reading something recently where Michael Keaton was saying the thing that he loved about playing Batman was being Bruce Wayne. He thought that was a lot more interesting. And apparently it's one of the many reasons why he didn't do Batman Forever, which is funny because I don't think Batman Forever really, like I said, did any favors for the character of Bruce Wayne. It just was sort of monotonal and you were just sort of sitting there like, oh, get on with it. I really like Batman Forever. I think it's an enjoyable film. It's not a fucking masterpiece, but like it definitely hasn't aged well. And I don't, you could probably point and say the same things about the two Tim Burton movies, but like Batman Forever is so 90s. It's a Jim Carrey movie before it's a Batman movie. It's right off the back of Ace Ventura, and I think it's just before The Mask. And so it's like prime Jim Carrey. You know, the soundtrack is like Seal, U2. Like it's very of the time, and it was the first one that was really like focused. Like Joel Schumacher was pointing it more towards like, let's do things for kids. Let's make it bright and flashy. And make things like so that there can be toys of it. That's what most people think of when they think of Batman Forever. But I still don't think it's a bad movie, because in the same way that I would gladly go back and rewatch.
It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. No.
It's just a very 90s movie that happens to have Batman. I think
you need to, with Batman Forever and with Batman and Robin, you just need to see them on their own, like separate from everything. Think of them as just like these standalone movies. As you said so rightly, they're just 90s versions of that universe. That's what everyone was into at the time. The costumes, everything about it. And they're the kind of movies that when I was that age that I watched. They're like the first Batman movies I watched. So for me, it was my introduction into the universe, because it was 1995 that Batman Forever came out. We were born, I was born in 1992, right?
Yeah.
So it was the first ones that we probably see. So they're always going to have that nostalgia.
Yeah, we had all four of them on VHS, and I do remember as a kid enjoying Forever and Batman and Robin, well, like at least having them on more, because they were just easily digestible. Like with Batman and Robin, there are still people who are like, no, it's fucking awful, it's a travesty. And it's like, I had it on in work the other day. We've got a VHS player in the waiting area at work, and like, it's fucking dumb. But it's kind of like, have you ever seen The Room with Tommy Wiseau in it? That really terrible, like, cult film about, like, I couldn't even tell you what it's about. Like, you turn me apart, Lisa. It's in the same. I can watch it and have the same. I can have the same enjoyment watching Batman and Robin that I can watching The Room, because it's like, it's so quotable, and Arnie is so miscast, but he's so fucking great in it.
But that's why I love it. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger in that movie as Iceman. I love Uma Thurman as the Poison Ivy. It's so tacky. It's so tacky. It's 90s tacky. You can put it on in the background, and you can just, like, while you're cooking or while at work or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just
it'd be a great film to make a drinking game to.
Yes. It's just, you just need to separate it, because when I was a kid, I enjoyed those movies. Now I'm older, I prefer obviously the darker. Like Batman is not, if I had to pick, a superhero character is my character. I'm very invested in that universe, and I love the darker side of it. But I still love those movies, and it just annoys me, when people just write them off and say they're crap. And I just don't think they are. I think they deserve a spotlight.
Yeah, it's also like, that point you just made is a very good point. I want to come back to that, but like, a lot of people tend to, like, for one, I always say, if you want to enjoy Batman and Robin, look at it as a really big budget remake of Adam West's Batman, which, if you don't like Adam West's Batman, fine, then you obviously are a thief of joy and don't like sunshine or happiness or anything. It's fun, it's cheesy. The only thing missing is, like, when George Clooney punches Arnold Schwarzenegger, it goes, pow! And, like, a lot of people sort of tend to forget that, like, without Batman and Robin being so shit, we wouldn't have Batman Begins. We wouldn't have The Dark Knight. We wouldn't have the MCU. Like, comic book movies, apart from Superman and Batman, were dog shit. Like, and they were never treated properly. Batman and Robin came out, and it was like the final, like, people just like, oh man, like, comic book movies are trash. Look at this is crap. Get rid of it. Everyone having that sort of visceral reaction to it that made people like Christopher Nolan go, well, actually, I want to bring this back and do it in a way that's more accurate, is was definitely more like in tone and symbiotic with like the comics and stuff like that. So like, okay. Also, like, we did still have bad comic book movies for ages, for every fucking Dark Knight there is a Catwoman, and
there's still bad comic book movies being made.
Yeah, there are, to be fair, but like, it's
the same in any genre, and one man, the expression, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like, I know that people hate those movies, and I'm not trying to say they're good movies. They don't deserve like awards and critical acclaim. No. But if I'm having a sick day or something and I'm at home, they're movies that I can put on, and they're like nostalgia of childhood movies for me. Yeah. And that's why I like them. I know I'm gonna laugh. I know it's going to be funny. So I don't think that it's right to say that they are bad movies. They're not bad movies. No. They're just not so. I think it's become popular to say they're bad movies.
You know, I don't ever want to sound like a gatekeeper, but like, because I've read comic books since I was like 6 years old, and I'm old enough to be like, well, I remember, you know, you'd get like one comic book movie every like 5 years, and chances are it could be Daredevil. I tend to look at them all with like, even if they're shit, even if they're not perfect, I'm still happy that we're getting things like this, and
like it was
that's kind of like, yeah, you know what I mean, like. In the same way, I mean, I don't want to get off topic, but like I could probably still watch Daredevil and be like, oh, well, you know what? When I was excited when it came out. But the funny thing you just said about like too invested in comic books, but like Batman is your character. The one thing I wanted to talk about today is how many people share that view. Like it's so, because even like comic book readers, like I know people who are like, nah, fuck DC. I'm a Marvel guy. I only read Marvel, except for Batman. Quite like Batman. And it seems to be like, you know, and
you know why? It's because he's not got powers. He's just a normal person.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. He's a billionaire.
He's a billionaire.
Like,
yeah, sure.
He's a billionaire. Yeah, no, but you know, take all that out. Like, I do think that there is definitely something.
He's a tortured soul. You know, he's on a mission for revenge and redemption.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just the most human thing. He just wants to restore peace, basically, to the city. That riots are happening and some crazy people are taking over.
Yeah,
and he looks like, cool as fuck.
I mean, he does look cool as fuck. I think
Batman is the guy that all men want to be, and all the women like want to be hanging out with.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. I mean, when I was a kid, would have really have liked to have been Batman, but like the older I get, I'm like, no, actually, it's pretty fucking miserable, man. I'd rather be Superman. I'd rather fly and be in the sunshine and being fucking pervious. And it's funny because, like, depending on who writes him, for me, the reason I like Batman, and for me, the thing that I find so interesting is like he goes above, like the character goes above and beyond to always do what's right. Whereas like someone like Superman is more of a Boy Scout. He has people that he'll answer to. You know, in some iterations of Superman, he works for the government, which I thoroughly just. Yeah. He's not a cop like Judge Dredd, so he's like Batman will like do the wrong thing to do the right thing, like
for sure.
And that I think that there's something quite admirable in that.
Like, how many times has he been in a situation where he could like kill someone, like the Joker, for example, or whatever, but he knows that's not right, so he's going to take them to prison essentially, you know, because he knows it's the right thing to do. Even though the world would probably be a better off place.
Yeah. It's a weird one because, like, there's a lot of people who argue, he doesn't kill the Joker because he doesn't want that to end. Like, there's that whole thing of, like, neither one of them can live without each other, which I think that's fucking a lot. That's probably a lot more interesting. But then, like, on a good day, I'd like to believe that he's just, he doesn't want to kill someone, which
he has a heart. He has emotions. Look at the way he treats Alfred, you know. He has a heart. He has that compassion and that soul. You know, he is capable of those feelings. And I think as much as he dislikes the Joker, he probably just sees him as himself, you know. He too had a troubled childhood and went through some things. The Joker wasn't always a terrible person.
There's that great line in The Killing Joke where it's like, you know, you're just one bad day away from being me. And it's, you know, all about like the choices you make that lead you into places. And I like personally, like there's the whole thing of like, for me, when Batman's written properly, he has like, it's to be shown more like not emotional maybe, but like, have brief glimpses into him being like a normal, just the more relatable and more normal. Like, obviously, he's not relatable. He's a billionaire who lives in a cave and beats up thugs every night. But like, don't know if it's currently still happening. But when I was last reading Batman, he was engaged to Catwoman to be married, and it was sweet. He was happy. At the start of that same Batman run of comics, there's a bit where it looks like he's going to die. He's got like Alfred in his ear, and he's asking like, "Oh, is this a good death? Would Mum and Dad be proud?" And you're like, oh man, like that. I was just like, you do get scared, and two, you do feel something, and I love shit like that. And I think that it's little subtle things like that is why Batman is a lot more relatable than maybe a lot of other more harder and grittier superheroes. And I hope that's like stuff like that bleeds into Robert Pattinson's thing. I hope we see a lot more of. We've had Christian Bale, who is very tactical thinking and everything was very rational. We've had Ben Affleck that was more meat-headed, more thuggish, a bit more jaded. I hope with Robert Pattinson, because they're going for a younger Batman, we get someone who's uncertain, maybe a little bit more worried every time he puts on a helmet and goes out and jumps off a fucking building.
It could be like the Batman. So imagine Christian Bale's Batman, but like in his teenage years, or just past his teenage years. So that the trauma of his parents is still like pretty fresh. So before he's had time to get over this kind of like emo goth phase or whatever you want to call it, before he's learned that he can be this billionaire womanizer, whatever. Maybe that's the phase that we're still in. I don't know. I'm super excited, to be honest, about this new one. I'm not going in with any sort of opinions or expectations. I'm just going to watch it and see what happens. It's got to be better than Ben Affleck. So, I mean...
We were cheated out of a Batfleck movie, and I will never get over it. But at the same time, this is a really, really cool thing to know, because I take it, like, I had to get you to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. I had to get you to watch Ben Affleck in Batman vs Superman. So you haven't, like, the Restore the Snyder cut and the Restore the Snyderverse movement is lost on you, right? Do you have any idea what either of them things mean?
Well, I understand what it is. I understand the concept of it. I understand the whole background of the story of it. But for me, it's just so painful to watch Ben Affleck in the role of Batman. Like, I tried so many times. I watched Batman vs Superman. I did watch that. I mean, I was doing multiple other things whilst watching it because I found it so difficult. I'm just being honest with you. I'm being honest.
No, that's fair.
He is not my Batman. I cannot respect him in that role.
That's fair.
So for me, those movies don't exist.
No, that's fair. I would rather you have an opinion, because usually them films are hated upon because of Zack Snyder and people just not liking his work, or they said that he made Superman too violent.
No, I think I would have really enjoyed that Batman versus Superman film if it would have been a different actor. And also old mate who played Lex Luthor, couldn't stand him either.
Yeah, right. I don't want to get onto just doing reviews of films, but my whole thing with no, it's fine, because I need to say my whole thing with Jesse Eisenberg, right? He is painful in that film, right? It's absolutely just I hate him. But the more I rewatch that film, and I recently watched The Social Network, where he plays Mark Zuckerberg. Have you seen that?
No.
Right.
No.
Watch that film, because I watched that film and I was like, I can easily see why someone would watch this and go, he can be Lex Luthor. Of course he can. Because if Lex Luthor was a real person, he would probably be more like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg and all these kind of annoying, like, billionaire tycoons. Like, billionaire tycoons are not like, Lex Luthor's like a character that's been around since like the 30s, and he's like, rich people are no longer like aristocratic and bald and like, I mean, they're like nerds. Exactly, they're eccentric nerds. And in The Social Network, Mark Zuckerberg is portrayed in such like he's like, I mean, this is how I got it anyway. The film kind of tries to make him look sympathetic, but he does just come off as like, he's an evil genius.
A spoiled kid to me is how he came across.
Well, this is it. I kind of feel like Zack Snyder probably watched The Social Network and went, he's Lex Luthor. Like, let's get him to do that again, but just turn it up to 100 million. Everything he did in that film, I was like, oh my God, you're pissing me off. Oh my God, you're pissing me off. just shut up. Like, everything. But I will say this, and this ain't no slight on Heath Ledger at all.
Watch what you say now, boy. Watch what you say.
If Jesse Eisenberg had died during the making of that film, everyone would have loved that portrayal of him.
Not in a
Heath Ledger's
fucking years.
Heath Ledger's Joker is not the Joker. It's a good interpretation of the Joker, but don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he only got credit because he died. That's horrible and very callous of me. That's not what I'm saying. But like, what I'm saying is, it's like he tried something new and he totally nailed it. And he also had this big tragedy behind him, which kind of pushed it forward. So I feel like people
who else tried something new but fucking failed at it? Ben Affleck.
No, right.
Don't
Okay,
let's
get back onto Ben Affleck. Right, let's get back onto Ben Affleck. So Ben Affleck,
is not
for
Batman.
me,
He is
yes,
a terrible
he fucking
person.
is, mate. So the first photo I saw of Ben Affleck, that was like, and he's in the comic book accurate grey and black suit. He looks right. I mean, you won't be able to see it because this won't have any film, but he looks like that toy right there. He looks like the animated Batman. Like, he looked like the chin, the costume, everything was. But I was like,
he doesn't have the chin. He doesn't have the chin. George Clooney
beautiful...
has the better chin than him.
No, come on, right? And then that first introduction where that copper turns around in that basement and he's in the corner, hunched like that. That is the most. This is the annoying thing, right? Is that whether you like or dislike that film, everything in it to do with Batman.
He's got no neck.
Mate, it's perfect. That fight scene in the warehouse, that is the most Batman. Mate, he's Batman. I'm sorry, and it's like. I remember at the time, everyone's like big gripe was like how many people would die or would have definitely died by Batman in that film, right?
Me,
I'm like the whole thing with the films and Batman, like people being like, "Oh, Ben Affleck's Batman killed so many people." Okay, but do you really think that the guy that Michael Keaton strapped a thing of TNT to and threw down a sewer drain? Do you think that guy lived? What about the Joker? What about the geezer that Michael Keaton threw off a fucking bell tower? Like, sadly, Batman in films and killing people, it just kind of goes hand in hand.
That's not my gripe. Like, I don't have an issue with the action of that Batman or that. Like, if it was a different act. My gripe is with the actor, let's be honest. It's not with the movie. And let's be fair, I've never liked Ben Affleck. I never liked him when he was in Daredevil. I've never liked him when... And I'm not like anything he's ever done. So, I mean, it's probably more of a me issue. Man? Yeah, but look, it would have been better if it was someone else, though, wouldn't it?
What about Mallrats, where you intentionally have to hate Ben Affleck?
You know what? When he did Gone Girl and we thought he was the murderer, that made sense to me.
See, now this is the thing, though. I'm asking you to put your prejudices aside. Because I'm telling you now,
it's impossible.
For that universe of films, he's perfect. Because
we're never going to agree, Charlie.
We're not, but I'm going to try anyway. Right? This is a film where Batman, a normal human being, is going to be like we've had realistic Batman with Christian Bale and Michael Keaton and all that. Like I need a Batman now who can convincingly act like he's like, I'm going to punch an alien and I don't give a fuck. I'm going to take on a god and I don't give a fuck. I am going to find the most scary thing. I'm going to find a literal like space demon in Darkseid and I'm going to stare him down and tell him to fuck off. Like, you need someone who...
I've got more faith that Alfred would do that than Ben Affleck.
It's such a waste of Jeremy Irons that he never got another chance to be Alfred. He was so good.
Not as good as Michael
I'm sorry, but see, I still think Michael Gough from the two Tim Burton movies and the two Joel Schumacher versions, and I don't think he ever got the credit he deserved either.
Well, Michael Caine was so beloved by so many.
And Michael Caine's Michael Caine, though, man. Everyone loves
he's
Michael
a national treasure. We're not here to talk about Michael Caine, but
I would gladly do an episode on Michael Caine, though. I fucking love Michael Caine.
I love Michael Caine so much. I've got so much time for that man. I've just Googled this. Like, I was looking at pictures of Ben Affleck, but this is what. Look at him standing here on a beach in a towel, like staring up at the waves. He's not a geezer, mate. That's not Batman. That's not Batman, mate.
He was spotted in a Have Heart t-shirt recently as well, so I've got all the time in the world for him for that.
Zero time for that man. I dislike everything about. I hate. Just everything
his
about
Batman
that man
voice was perfect. The fight choreography was perfect. Like, even the bit where he swoops down and picks up that security. I mean, I know that's obviously not him, because that would have been like CGI or a stunt double or something. But okay, I know I'm never going to change my mind about Ben Affleck, and that's fine. But so what I want to talk about now, and if you can, just try and see where I'm coming from without just being like, well, yeah, of course, because fuck Ben Affleck. But like, the thing for me, right? So I was having this, like, recently throughout the week, talking to my mate, being like, yeah, we're going to do an episode on Batman and blah, 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 with my best mate, and learned how to, he did like a master's in acting and all of that. And he raised a very good point. And it was the difference between playing Batman and playing Spider-Man or Captain America or anything like that is it feels a lot more prestigious than film. The films are always treated kind of like, it's kind of like playing Hamlet. You know what I mean? It's such a big deal. Even like George Clooney and Val Kilmer, they still had a bit more. And Ben Affleck never had that because he never had his own film. It was like he had to fit into this extended universe of like the MC, like, you know, DC's equivalent of the MCU. So he never had that. And that's why I think it's a good move that Matt Reeves is being like, I don't want my Batman films to have anything to do with anything. I want them to be their own fucking thing.
Doesn't it speak a lot that they never gave him his own movie because they knew that it would be awful and that he wouldn't be able to carry a movie on his own? Does that not speak words of wisdom, you know?
He would have been, he should have been,
but he never was.
You can thank Warner Brothers for fucking up the entire DC extended universe.
I will thank Warner Brothers. I will. Good job.
Yeah. Nah, fuck them. Fuck them. We got denied watching Batman and Deathstroke go at it in a fucking film, perfectly cast. We got denied, like, oh man, it's pointless because I know I'm never going to change your mind. And it's just, for me,
like, to be fair, it's not because of Batman I don't like him. I just don't like him.
No, that's fair. So, okay, are you excited to see, the Flash film that's coming out this year?
Yeah.
The plot synopsis from what everyone can gather at the moment is the Flash runs into a different timeline and basically erases Ben Affleck's Batman. We don't know that for certain that is what's going to happen, but we know that going forward, Michael Keaton is stepping back into the role. Ben Affleck is departing. So does that at least excite you?
Of course that excites me. So can I just point out a few facts and then you tell me what? All right. So he never had his own movie. He was always a sub-character in a greater arcing plot. And now they're erasing his character and replacing him with an original Batman. Does that not say enough for you?
I'll tell you this now. I would argue that Batman vs. Superman is a Batman movie because Superman, I think they counted. Someone counted.
Superman was a better actor in that movie. I was more invested in Superman, and I'm a Batman person, but I was into Superman that movie. I wanted him to kill the Batman.
Is Superman. Yeah, Henry Cavill is Superman. So
I'm not usually a big fan of the old Superman, but I very much enjoyed his Superman. And I was more invested in the Superman plotline of that movie than I was in the Batman.
No, that's fair. But I would still argue that Batman, that is a Batman movie more than a Superman movie. I would also argue that Zack Snyder's Justice League, apart from Cyborg, follows Batman a lot more. Like, he is the staple of the DC universe, so then films do fix on him.
Yeah, to be fair, without the Batman, DC would be pretty...
Yeah, Superman has a lot of pulling power, Batman has more. That's just a given.
Batman is why people turn up. The rest
the whole thing with him, you know, of them erasing him, you know, he signed on because of Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder has nothing to do with it now, which is a shame. But Ben Affleck has also gone on, you know, he said he was never going to, he said after Joss Whedon's butchery of Justice League that he didn't, not because, I don't think it was because of Joss Whedon, but he said that the role was very physically demanding, and I know he relapsed into his drinking, I think, at that point. He only came back because Zack Snyder needed him for reshoots to finish his version of the movie. He came back, he'd done that. After that, he said, I'm done with doing characters of intellectual properties that already exist. So he doesn't want to play your Batmans, he doesn't want to play your James Bonds or anything. He wants to do newer things that are fresh and interesting. DC are still trying to save this shared universe. They need a Batman. They need a reason for it. And luckily, the Flash is a character that is, you can rewrite any plot hole with the Flash because he can time travel, he can run, as he seems to be doing here, running to other dimensions and all this sort of stuff. So, and if you're going to get another Batman, what's the point? Just get Michael Keaton. He's the fucking bollocks, mate. Like, you'd be and not only that as well, but it's like, you know, it's fan service. Everyone wanted a third Michael Keaton Batman movie. We never got it. So it's a way of bringing in a level of prestige. It's a way of pleasing older fans. It's a way of pleasing younger kids who just want Batman.
It's going to make a lot of people very happy.
Yeah, I hope it does as well. And it's one of them things where Michael Keaton has already walked away from a Batman project when he feels like it's not getting treated properly. So that's a man I trust to sort of have at least some sort of quality control over everything else. It's because, like, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's you know, like, you get like valedictorians who like come in at American unis and do like the end of term speech and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton did one of them, and he finished his speech by saying, "I'm going to leave you with just 3 words, and you know, if you take nothing else with you today, take these with you." And then he just leaned over and went, "I am Batman," and then left, because like he in his head believes he's still the Batman. That is the most
he's so confident in that role.
Yeah, mate, it's the most biggest ballsy Batman move. It's the Batman flex. Like, once again, not to go off topic, but there's an episode where it's the Batman of the future kind of thing, where Bruce Wayne's training a younger person to be Batman, and the way that Bruce Wayne kind of gathers that his thoughts are being tampered with is because his subconscious keeps calling him Bruce and not calling him Batman. I like to think that Michael Keaton does that. He walks around the house and it's just like, "What are you going to get up to today, Batman?" "Well, gee, I don't know. I think I might go make some coffee," or like, I'm fucking excited as all hell to have Michael Keaton back, even if it does mean that we're losing Batfleck. I'm
welcoming Keaton back with open arms.
It's if anything, it's one of them things where it's like, oh yeah, like, it's very nice of the Flash to show up in this movie. Like, it's Michael Keaton's movie. I don't even need to see it to know already that, like,
I'll watch it because I want to see the distraction of Ben Affleck and the rebirth of Keaton. The 4th of November this year, I looked up that it's coming. So we've still got a long way to go, you know. We're going to have Robert Pattinson in the meantime. That's like pretty much next month. A lot happening this year in that kind of universe.
There's a lot of Bat stuff happening.
A lot of Bat stuff happening. So with those original Batmans, it was 62 for Keaton, 31% for Adam West, 6% for Val Kilmer, and 0% for George Clooney. Not a single person for George Clooney as the original Batman. Which, fine, fair enough. When you have those other choices, I understand.
Like I said, Clooney, it was a very good Bruce Wayne, because he is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Debonair, he's you know, minted. He's I think I don't know if he's got a partner now, but he's always pretty much been on his own as well. So yeah, I get it. Like, I get why he was cast as that. The funny thing is, there was supposed to be another film with Clooney in it, Batman Unchained, which was supposed to have the Scarecrow and Harley Quinn in it. I've read the script. It's
was it good?
It's a good thing. No, it's a good thing we didn't get it. The only good bit that would have been good about it was they actually linked that film back to the first Michael Keaton one. There was going to be this thing of connecting the Harley Quinn of that movie to Jack Nicholson's Joker. By the way, we've somehow amazingly managed to not talk about the Joker, and I don't really want to because enough has been said, but I do just want it on record that Jack Nicholson is the Joker. So
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's a whole other episode, though, to talk about the Joker. So I'm really trying to keep it on the Batman. I know we sort of came off when we were
that is
talking
absolutely
about
fair.
Alfred. But for me, the Joker is a whole nother episode. Maybe we'll do the Joker and Harley Quinn as a separate episode or something. When we moved into the more like modern Batmans, I suppose. So I've got Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, and I threw in Robert Pattinson just because I was curious to see. I kind of want to see if anyone would vote for him, if they were interested in him. So who do you think's at top?
I reckon Ben Affleck was last. I reckon then it was Christian Bale, and then I reckon it was Robert Pattinson.
Okay, so Christian Bale at 80%, he's at the top. 80%.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Which I fully understand. Then unfortunately, the Ben Affleck came in at 13%. And
yes.
I don't actually think that counts because I saw that you took a little vote there.
Damn straight I did. I'm still allowed to vote. Fuck off. I'm well within my right to vote. And even if I didn't, it'd be like what, 12%, and Robert Pattinson would have like the last.
I would have voted for Christian Bale, so probably just would have balanced out anyway. And then Robert Pattinson got 7%. So he's still got a vote.
which is fair because
which means that
like
there
his
are
film
people
comes out
that still agree that they would rather have Robert Pattinson without seeing that movie than they would have the Ben Affleck. So
you got to remember though that's hype. You know what I mean? There were people saying that Joaquin Phoenix was the best Joker ever before, like the film came out and stuff like that. You know what though? And this is a perfect time to talk about it. You should have put in the geezer who voiced the Lego Batman into that.
Oh, Will Arnett, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, I was going to do maybe like an animation one and do the voices.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I just and then I could have included like all of the other kind of animation.
You put Kevin Conroy in there and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. But I just, to be honest, just didn't. So there you go.
To be fair, I guarantee you now, Kevin Conroy would have just won that. 100% he would have just won that.
Will Arnett's has got a good voice though. He was made to do voice acting.
It's such a funny both Lego movies, all three of them, so Lego Movie 1, 2, and the Lego Batman movie, have taught me to never judge a film by its cover ever again, because when Lego Batman came out, it's probably like the closest I ever got to being like just irrationally angry about something. Because for me, I was like, you're telling me we can't get a fucking Ben Affleck Batman movie, but we can get a fucking Lego Batman movie. I was 100%. So like bitter. And then I watched it during lockdown. And like, you know, when you watch like funny films on your own, you'll laugh, but you'll probably just be like, oh, or like you'll know it's funny, but not laugh out loud. Yeah. The Lego Batman movie, I was like rolling around on the floor laughing. I was literally lowing at this film. Like it's so clever. It's so funny. There's so many love letters to all the other Batman movies in there. And it never comes off as like, it's obviously a parody, but it never comes off as like disrespectful, or it's just fucking great. And the only other thing I had seen Will Arnett in that I can remember straight off the top of my head was the 2 terrible Michael Bay Teenage Ninja Turtle films. So I was like, fuck that guy. He's
done so much good stuff.
Yeah, he probably has. I want to watch it now because I've seen Lego Batman.
Just on a side note, which has nothing to do with Batman, but he did this. He did BoJack Horseman. He's the voice of BoJack Horseman. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
And BoJack Horseman, if you haven't fucking seen it, mate, watch BoJack Horseman. It is so good.
Right, well, I will check them out. And I will check them out purely because I thought he was fantastic as Lego Batman.
Yeah, if you thought he was good as the Lego Batman, he's just great in a lot of things that he does. Anyways, moving on from Will Arnett. Look, in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about all these movies, do I have a favourite? Yes. But I think I have different favourite Batmans, you know. I've got the Batman who I think is like the true Batman. I've got the Batman who I watch because I like a dark like plot every now and then. I've got the one that I like because it's that tacky. They're all Batman. Yeah. There isn't, I don't know, how can you pick? Because they're also, it would be different if these actors were playing the same movie and then you could decide. But do you know what I mean?
So like, for example, I've spoke a lot about how much I like Ben Affleck, but like Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman, and them two films, Batman and Batman Returns, they are my comfort films. I will watch them. Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman. And them two films he done, they're my comfort films. I can watch them a million times and never get bored of them. Whereas like I went through a stage where I got like quite snobby and was like, oh, I don't think I actually like Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy as much as, I was like, maybe it's overhyped or anything like that. But then like I rewatched it recently and like I think all three of them are just as good as each other. Like they all have their own weaknesses and they all have their own flaws, but like they're such good movies that like watching them, if you like were to just binge watch them on repeat, it would dilute the experience of it, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Where like they're not something that I would just be like, right, I'm going to just watch that again and again and again. And then, yeah, like if I want something stupid, I'll watch Adam West or George Clooney. Every now and then, if I'm in the mood, I'll just stick fucking Batman Forever on because I think it's a decent movie. For anything else, there's the Lego Batman movie. And if I really want to, actually, no, you know what? I am talking shit. The best Batman movie is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. You should have watched it. It's so fucking good. And it doesn't, because it's a cartoon, it never gets no one ever gives it the treatment that it deserves because it's just seen as like a kid's animated movie. It is powerful. It is the best animated film ever. Anyone can fight me on that. They'll lose. It's the best Joker, the best Batman, the best original villain for any Batman story. The score's amazing. The artwork's amazing. Like a fucking Siskel and Ebert actually went back on themselves to go and watch it. And even they were like, this is fucking incredible. Like, you need to watch this. But like, yeah, I have a different Batman for different needs. And I'm interested to see where Robert Pattinson comes in because
I think a different Batman for a different time in your life as well, right? Like I was so heavily invested in the Christian Bale Batman. It was such like a time in my life. I remember when the Dark Knight Rises came out, I went to the IMAX in London and they showed all three of them in a row. So they replayed the Batman Begins, they replayed the Dark Knight, and then they did the first showing of the Dark Knight Rises afterwards. And it was such like an intense thing, being in the cinema for that long. It was so good. So for me, I've just got such this like vivid memory of those movies. It was such a big part of my life at the time. Yeah. So that always going to stand out for me. I do think the Michael Keaton Batman, especially the Batman Returns with Danny DeVito and all of that, I just think they were great movies. They had the right line of kind of like cheesiness with the dark. Whereas
it was Tim Burton at his best.
Well, exactly. Because, like the Val Kilmer and the George Clooney, they were all cheese and all tacky. Whereas those Michael Keaton ones just had that kind of, it's like the Christian Bale Batman meets those Batmans. Like, it's like somewhere in the middle. It's like that perfect line of both. And you know what? I'm a sucker for a trilogy.
Yeah, that's it. It's part of like the great trilogies, like the original Star Wars trilogy, Lord of the Rings, Back to the Future. It like when one of them films came out, like what was it, 2005 was Batman Begins? Yeah, it was like go to the cinema with the whole family.
And you're going to treat yourself to the big screen. You're going to pay the extra to go see that at the IMAX. You are buying popcorn, you're buying all that stuff when you go. It is an experience, a cinematic experience. And those movies, I think, like, forget a minute about it being Batman, like you said before. They're just great movies. Like the visual effects. Look, there was a few questionable casting choices, which we're not going to talk about because they're not to do with this. But for the most part, those movies were just great movies. Yeah. And they were part of our lives, I guess, around our age, where it was really quite memorable and relevant.
It was the first, and like I said as well, like that.
It made superheroes cool.
Yeah, you would be so hard pressed, even if you found someone who who was like, I don't like them movies, I don't think they could disagree that, like I said earlier, you would have no MCU without them. You would have, like, superhero films were just not treated like, because what? So yeah, 2005, Batman Begins. I think it was like a year earlier, Halle Berry's Catwoman came out. The fucking jump in quality, and like I remember the first picture I saw of Christian Bale's Batman is in the bit in Batman Begins where he's coming down the flight of stairs and he's got the cape spread out, like in the comic books and all of that. And I just remember thinking, like, as a kid, I was like, this is it. This is going to be the one that gets, is going to stop me getting bullied at school for liking like comic books, because this is going to, and it did. Like,
that's exactly what I was going to say. That was the first superhero movie that the bullies who bullied kids for liking superhero movies, they went to go and see the movie. They were invested in it. They thought it was cool because it was irrelevant that this Batman was a long-time comic book hero. Yeah. It didn't matter. You didn't need to read any of the comics or watch any of the other movies. You could just go and watch this trilogy without having any backstory. It explained everything for you.
The jump in time is a lot different, but if you look at the mainstream view of Batman, you don't read comic books, you don't play video games, you don't. So, like, the last time this happened was, the mainstream saw Batman as Adam West, camp, bright, all that. And then if you're not reading comic books and you're not seeing how the character turned darker and all that, thanks to Neil Adams and Frank Miller and people like that, it literally went Adam West, boom, Michael Keaton, dark, serious, edgy. And like Christian Bale did the same thing. Everyone's like thought process with Batman at that point was George Clooney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, puns, jokes, bat nipples. And then that film came out and just blew everything out the water and started again.
So what you're saying, Christian Bale was our generation's Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I think he was. It's a bit different to maybe me and you who were nerds growing up anyway, so we were aware of Michael Keaton. But I bet there are a lot of kids or people who are younger than us, at least. It's like having your own James Bond or having your own Doctor Who. Like the Doctor Who of my generation was David Tennant. The James Bond was Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig. Like there's a whole generation of kids who, when they think of Batman, they're always going to think of Christian Bale. And maybe I say never say never to anything now, because anything seems to happen with comic book movies. But like maybe somewhere down the line, there's going to be like two people in a podcast sitting there going, I can't believe it, they're bringing out this fucking Green Lantern movie and Christian Bale is coming back as Batman. Like, you never know. You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool. And then the generation after that, maybe it'll be Robert Pattinson. Right?
I think that there's always going to be Batman movies. I think it's going to outlive you and me. It's going to outlive
of course,
next generations. Batman is that one, because there's a very much an oversaturated market at the minute when it comes to superhero movies. It's like, it was really cool in the beginning, and now it's like a bit like slow down a little bit. Just chill out on the superheroes for a while. But I do think at some point that will go full circle and it will chill out. There will be less. But I do think the Batman will always be a movie that will be made.
Yeah, it says a lot that we're in that now of people getting like bored of superhero movies, but the two big Batman related projects, the Joker and Robert Pattinson's Batman, have both managed to sort of, then they're not just superhero movies, you know what I mean? Because they're not. I think when people say superhero movies, they immediately think Marvel, the MCU, flashy, bright. You've got to have watched the last 20 of them to know what's going on in this one. Whereas like these films, like I said earlier, it's Hamlet, it's Shakespeare, it's just something different. And I don't know, I can't put my finger on what it is. But yeah, every time one of these films comes out.
Everyone's heard of Batman. Everyone's heard of Gotham City. Yeah. Everyone's heard of a few other of the characters that live in that world. Like everyone knows the Joker. Like everyone knows Harley Quinn, or everyone's heard of these characters,
Yeah.
the Scarecrow, the whatever. Like, I just think it's such a big part of it. I don't think I don't think the DC exists without the Batman.
No, I think there's been a few times in its history where like Marvel nearly bought DC once. There's been a lot of it, but like the difference between the two of them is I reckon you could go to like downtown Baghdad or like go to the Antarctic and find whoever's living up there, show them the Batman symbol and go, what is that? And they will say, that's Batman. Whereas you could do the same and go and show them a picture of Ant-Man or Hawkeye and go, who's that? And they'll go, I don't know. Like,
mate, when they're in the middle of the fucking peak pandemic, if that fucking bat signal was floated up in the air,
yeah, man,
every fucking person in the country that saw that for a split moment would feel something.
Feel a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah. For a short moment, they would feel like, mate, yes, the Batman's coming. If they fucking put any other symbol up there, no one gives a shit. They're like, what's this bullshit in the sky?
Yeah, it's just there's something comforting. But I mean, you could say that about all superheroes, but I think there is something just.
If I'm ever in a bad situation,
Batman.
who is the superhero I want to come and save me? Is the Batman.
Yeah, absolutely. It says, it's like, you get them things on like Facebook where it's like, it'd be like a roster of like 9 characters. It'd say like, pick 3 to defend you, the rest are going to kill you. Guarantee you, if Batman is in that roster, you're always picking Batman. And it comes down to that fact of like, oh, but what's he going to do?
Anything.
DC have even worked it into like being a little bit of a joke now in the comics, but the whole fact of like, he's Batman. What's he going to do? He's Batman. It doesn't matter.
He's resourceful. He will do anything he has to.
That's something that's
just
universal.
As long as money is no object.
Oh yeah, but like I think people just long for it's a testament to superheroes, but I think it works probably best to describe Batman. Maybe Spider-Man second, but like people just want to know that someone will go above and beyond and do anything, even if it means doing sometimes questionable things to do the right thing.
Yeah, and he doesn't care if he's hated. He will be hated if it means doing the right thing. He's not out there trying to make mates.
No, like we was having a conversation in work the other day about, because like I said, we had Batman and Robin on in the waiting area. One of the boys at work was like, yeah, like Batman's my favourite character. I was like, okay, why? And he touched on that, and I told him about, there's this great Justice League story. I think it's Tower of Babel. I could be wrong. I've only read it once. But basically, all of the Justice League get attacked by the attacks are all so perfectly suited to bring each and every member down. And then at the end, they find out that it's because someone's like basically gone through Batman, a file that Batman has got on all of them. Batman has planned to bring down every single one of his friends in a way that they can't come back from. And they all get really fucking angry at him, understandably. And his answer is just like, well, if you're not thinking of doing the same thing to me, you're all idiots. He's like, he is not here to be friends. He's here to do the right thing all the time, even if it pisses people off. Like, and that's just fucking admirable. Right?
I just can't take you seriously drinking out of that shoe. I'm really trying. And here's one for you. I just picked one. Best Batmobile. Go.
Oh, that's a fucking hard one. I'd say Michael Keaton's. It was nearly Val Kilmer's, but then I remembered it had the Batman logo on each and every one of the wheels, and that just always was fucking stupid. So I'd say, Michael Keaton or Adam West. The Adam West one's fucking classic. And even Adam like the way it comes.
Really cool. I'm just looking at photos now.
I fucking hated the Tumblr from the Christian Bale films. I know, obviously, it's like the whole thing is like he's supposed to get hold of military equipment because that's probably what would have happened. But like,
it suits the purpose, right? It makes sense.
Yeah, it suits them films. Like, And it was the one of the major things that pissed me off about the Ben Affleck films was like I hated the Tumblr in the Christian Bale films, and then I felt like they got really lazy and just sort of gave him a more streamlined version of that. I don't think I would have liked to have seen him in a more like Adam West sort of or Michael Keaton type thing, but I just think they could have done something a bit more interesting.
It wouldn't have fitted the movie.
No, it wouldn't have. But I think they could have done something a bit more interesting than just giving him the Tumblr again. So next for Batman after Robert Pattinson is Michael Keaton, obviously appearing in The Flash. We've already covered that.
We know is going to be about November. And then the other movie that we've got coming out, which we haven't got a month for, but we know it's going to be this year.
Is it this year already?
Yeah, it says. I looked online earlier because I was trying to find the date. It says 2022. It doesn't say the month. So I don't know if that's going to become before or after The Flash.
Nah, it'll have to come. It'll have to. No, it'll have to come after.
You think it'll be after?
Michael Keaton's in it.
That's true. It will have to maybe December then.
Well, I mean, to be fair, these films do get pushed about a bit. Cast Leslie Grace as Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, and
she received a bit of she received a hard time over that.
Yeah, and like for just like bullshit reasons that I'm not even going to waste my fucking time on. It's just absolute right-wing snowflakery from like neckbeards in basements who just don't like seeing powerful women of color in films. But I'm not going to go into it. But like she looks amazing. It's got Brendan Fraser playing Firefly, which I am so here for.
And
it's got
Michael. Excited for the return of Brendan Fraser.
Same. And this is the thing. It's like the return of Brendan Fraser, J.K. Simmons, and Michael Keaton all in one movie. Oh, yes, please get in. But the funny thing about
I am excited for the Batgirl.
Have you seen any of the photos from it?
I've seen a few photos of it, and I'm actually pretty excited about it.
Yeah,
because
mate,
the last time we had Batgirl was Alicia
Silverstone, wasn't it?
Silverstone from Clueless and stuff. And as much as like she got a hard time for that movie, and she got a really hard time for that movie. And I do think, I think she that Batgirl fitted with the movie.
Yeah, like
so it's unfair to pick her out for that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in that film, main cast anyway, did a bad job at acting. I don't think any of the acting is terrible. The problem with that film is
they were all
the script.
On par.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and to her credit,
she got so many comments about like her weight and stuff, and like them calling her chubby and things like that. And it's like, mate, Alicia Silverstone is chubby. Like, come on, like
it's just some of them things. Like, just fuck off. Like, leave the bird alone.
Whenever we've got any of these, I'm not going to go into this rant, but I could. Just women superheroes, it's just bullshit. How it, the criticism that they get, and the outfits they have to wear, the criticism they get over what they look like. That never. I mean, I suppose it does happen, the costumes and stuff of the male ones, but at least they're realistic.
Yeah, it's a thing like, and it's one thing like Alicia Silverstone. I thought got lucky in the fact that like, especially in the 90s, like her costume wasn't revealing or like, and the thing I'm liking about this as well, like the photo. I think the only photo of Leslie Grace at the moment is the one in like the comic book accurate. Looks like it was done at home DIY job, and it's the same thing. Like it's not just stupidly revealing for no reason. It looks good. Like
it's not like figure hugging or like accentuating or anything like that. It's like the equivalent of the Batman outfit.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think it looks fucking great, and I'm always here for J.K. Simmons coming back as Commissioner Gordon. Michael Keaton, I'm obviously fantastically excited for. The interesting thing about Batgirl, though, is that a couple of years ago, I'd say probably around 2015, it was announced, and it was going to be Joss Whedon directing it, which at the time, not knowing what I know now, I was like, that's fucking great, because he did Buffy. And I fucking love Buffy, and this is going to be such a good movie.
And women power,
and like he's a feminist, and and all of this good
what
stuff.
What a better person to do a feminist icon movie than Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Flash forward to
and what we know now, I am so glad that he's not doing it. I actually don't know who is directing it. It's a couple of people. I can't say I've heard of either of them, but I put my full faith that they're going to be better than Joss Whedon. And next week we're going to get into more about why we're not happy with Mr. Whedon, to put it very fucking lightly.
I think it's for both of us, we need to do this episode, because I think we need to talk about it, first of all, and we need to separate. For us, we're both quite big fans of his old work, and it's important for us to separate the art from the artist, and I think that's why
I mean, it's a weird one when saying art from the artist. Obviously, we'll get into this more next week, but like, unlike you, I never watched Firefly or Serenity, but for Buffy, while it is very much, it's Joss Whedon's creation, there's so many things that go into that show that he's not always the thing I think about. And Angel, I would easily argue, is David Greenwalt's show more than Joss Whedon's.
I think at that point he didn't have too much involvement in it.
And funnily enough, Avengers 1 and Avengers 2, Avengers 1 I still love for the same reason as like, it was a big historic moment for superhero films, and that's great. But out of actually all of the Avengers films, they're the two I like the least. And the less said about Alien Resurrection, the better. Like, but yeah, we will get into.
We will get into that. We'll save it. We'll save it for next week. But I do think it's a good. It's going to be an interesting episode, that's for sure. I think we're both going to be very opinionated on that one.
Right. Yeah. So what we want from the 5 people that are watching this is to go on to our Instagram account, which is Trash Culture Podcast, all one word, and we will just be putting up some like questions, some polls, just Joss Whedon related, Buffy related, and just anything you want spoken about, or any opinions you might have about the whole career and life and times of this absolutely dogshit human being. Please put them in there. We want to hear it. Do I have any final thoughts on the Batman? I cannot fucking wait to see it this Friday. That's a given. There's a reason why he's been one of my favourite superheroes for all of my life. I am so excited that I'm going to, hopefully, touch wood, live to see him turn 100. What a great time to be a DC fan. What a great time to be a Batman fan. What are your final thoughts? And don't say fuck Ben Affleck.
Oh my gosh, you know me so well. It's definitely coming. I just think people need to remember, and I should listen to that, there is a Batman for everyone. And I think that we shouldn't be so quick to judge the Batman movie. And so I understand how this sounds, how hypocritical this is. I can see the smugness in your face. I'm trying to be the bigger person, okay? And I don't think that we can really say that one is better than another one. I do have my favorite, and I have my least favorite. I'll leave it as that.
All right. Well, on
that, it's been an absolute pleasure, Charlie.
It has. And join us next week, same bat place, same bat time, to discuss everything Joss Whedon. I'll see you then.
All right. See you later, mate.